All right, everybody. I'm at an annual library sale not far from where I live, and I'm about to step in. I can already see there's a line there, and I've gotten here at 9:56, and it starts in 4 minutes. I've got all my bags, and I even have like my little cart with me, which I'll show you if I get a chance to. Let's see how it goes. Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday. It's Denise from Dobby Books. And today, as you saw in the opening, I made a trip to a Friends of the Library book sale. And it started at 10 o'clock this morning. I got there just in time, roughly. And this is the outcome of that particular sale. In general, it was a disappointment because there were, like bank boxes, and they had the different genres written on the outside of the boxes. And I was looking here and there, wasn't really finding anything in history or adult fiction, because it was a lot of the I don't know, the Nora Roberts kind of big names that I don't really read, so I wasn't really interested. I thought, well, let me look over in the kids section, see if I can find any Newbery Medal winners, honored. That's another thing that I look for. Nothing. And what blew me away is that to my left, there was an older woman. She had a big bag, a big wide bag with her. It was $3 a bag and $5 for 2 bags. So this was a bargain, once a year thing to go to. And I noticed that the woman next to me, I don't maybe she reads really fast, but she was going through the books fairly quickly and pulling and pulling and pulling and then putting them in her bag. And I'm thinking to myself, does she know what these are about? She just seemed to look at the front of them. I didn't see her really read the back of them. And she didn't have a phone where she was scanning. So I know those are the people that resell the books, which I find kind of annoying. But then again, we're trying to find home for books, so I'm not going to complain. And I was just amazed. And so she was ahead of me. I'm behind her trying to find books, and she's taking a lot of them. And I was like, gosh, I can't compete with this. Well, let me go over another section. Didn't find anything, and I just kind of wound my way around in this room 3, 4 times and finally decided, okay, all right, I'm disappointed. I'm just going to go someplace else. And at first I thought I was going to go to my library that I've always gone to. All my earlier videos when I would do my weekend library hauls was always from that library because they're open every Saturday, and it's this basement full of books. It's awesome. But then as I walked out, one of the ladies said, we do have a regular bookstore inside the library. And I said, oh, okay, I'll check that out. And I thought, yeah, my hopes weren't too high, but I thought, well, let me give it a little meander. And of course, there were more people there than there usually are because of the sale. And I looked through the aisles, and I actually found several Newbery Medals, Newbery Honor books, and a couple of other things that caught my interest. But the frustrating thing is I have a list like this of Newbery Medal winners, and I also have another one that combines the medal winners with the Newbery Honor books. But these are listed chronologically by year. And it's hard to find a book on the shelves when they're organized alphabetically by author. And I remember thinking to myself, when I get home, I'm going to take my list and I'm going to put all these names of the medal winners in alphabetical order, because just by author, because it was a slow process. I'm sure there were more Newbery books there that I could have purchased in order to complete my collection a little bit more, and I just didn't have the patience to be looking through all the books. I remembered some names, I couldn't remember others. I looked on my phone sometimes to see which books I already had, but it was too time consuming. So that's what I did this afternoon. I went ahead and I got my list and I put it in rough alphabetical order. And after this video, I'm going to then again put it in proper alphabetical order. And I'm going to take that with me from now on so I can move a whole lot quicker through the stacks. But anyway, this is what I got. Newbery Medal winners. This is a Newbery Honor book by Natalie Babbitt, and it's entitled Neenach Rise. I wasn't familiar with this title. I'm more familiar with the medal winners than the honor winners. And this one says, from the moment young Egan arrives in instep for the annual fair, he is entranced by the fable surrounding the misty peak of Neenoch Rise. On stormy nights, when the rain drives harsh and cold and an undiscovered creature raises its voice and moans, nobody knows what it is. Nobody has ever dared to try to find out and then come back again. Even so, what with his strange dreams and the excitement of the fair, Egan is drawn to find the answer to the mystery. So, another one added to my Newbery collection. The next one I found, and I got inspired to get this because BookBuds, he showed this, I think I saw it this morning or yesterday, for middle grade March. He got all inspired and he was showing all of his middle grade books, and one of them was Pippi Longstocking. And I remember, oh gosh, I remember reading Pippi Longstocking. I think I was in 4th grade when I dressed up like Pippi Longstocking for the Halloween day at school. And I really enjoyed Pippi's free spirit and her courage. I thought, oh, what a cool friend to have. So I happened to find this at the library and I ended up purchasing it. So this is going to be nice. Maybe I'll add it to my little stack there for middle grade March. And then the next one I found is by Marguerite Henry, and that author rang a bell because she also wrote Misty of Chincoteague, which I showed you all last week, as well as Justin Morgan Had a Horse. I also have that one. And this is Bridie of the Grand Canyon. I remember seeing this book on the shelves when I was a kid. I don't know how my mother came upon it because I don't remember buying it at, like the Scholastic book fairs or anything like that. It was just there, and I remember beginning to read the book. But when I got the impression that little donkey was going to endure some sort of suffering, I put it down because I just couldn't stand that. But now I'm a little older, maybe I'll be a little tougher and I'll be able to read this through. So Bridie of the Grand Canyon, it's interesting what it says here. Long ago, a lone little burro roamed the high cliffs of the Grand Canyon and touched the hearts of all who knew him. A grizzled old miner, a big game hunter, even President Teddy Roosevelt. Named Bridie by the prospector who befriended him, he remained a free spirit at heart. But when a ruthless claim jumper murdered the prospector, loyal Bridie risked everything to bring the killer to justice. Bridie's adventures have delighted generations of readers, and he has become the symbol of a joyous way of life. Some people say that you can even see his spirit roving the canyon on moonlit nights, forever wild, forever free. And I was looking up a little information on Bridie. There's actually a little statue of him that's been made, and I didn't even stop to read where this is at, but I'm going to guess at the Grand Canyon. They've actually made a just adorable little statue of Bridie, and I'll see if I can put it up on the screen for you. Just the neatest thing. Okay. The next one I found is a Newbery Medal winner, Sounder, which is a title a lot of us are familiar with. I really thought I had this. I didn't. In the back, it says, a landmark in children's literature, winner of the 1970 Newbery Medal, and the basis of an acclaimed film. Sounder traces the keen sorrow and the abiding faith of a poor African-American boy in the 19th century South. The boy's father is a sharecropper struggling to feed his family in hard times. Night after night, he and his great coon dog, Sounder, return to the cabin empty-handed. Then one morning, almost like a miracle, a sweet-smelling ham is cooking in the family's kitchen. At last, the family will have a good meal. But that night, an angry sheriff and his deputies come, and the boy's life will never be the same. Sounder. Another one for the Newbery Medal collection. And this is another one I really thought I had, but I did not. It's by Karen Hess, Out of the Dust. I think that's a cool cover. And if you guessed that this was about the Depression and the Dust Bowl, you are correct. It says, a terrible accident has transformed Billy Joe's life, scarring her inside and out. Her mother's gone, her father can't talk about it, and the one thing that might make her feel better, playing the piano, is impossible with her wounded hands. To make matters worse, dust storms are devastating the family farm and all the farms nearby. While others flee from the Dust Bowl, Billy Joe is left to find peace in the bleak landscape of Oklahoma and in the surprising landscape of her own heart. So there's my other Newbery Medal winner, Out of the Dust. And the next one I found, Young Fu of the Upper Yangtze by Elizabeth Foreman Lewis. That's a really vivid cover there. I like that. The blues, the oranges, the yellows. It's awesome. And it says, Young Fu is bound for 7 years to be an apprentice to Tang the coppersmith, and his new life in the Chinese city Chongqing is both exciting and terrifying. Young Fu endures the taunts of his coworkers and must live by his wits on the streets, where restless soldiers will shoot a man if he does not carry a load for them, and beggars steal from those who pass them by. Yet for young Fu, the pleasures of the bustling Chongqing of the 1920s far outweigh its dangers. Little by little, he learns the ways of the big city and plunges into adventure after adventure as he gains confidence. Who would have ever thought a shy boy from the country would stop a break-in at the copper shop or brave the dreaded fire demon to help a foreigner? Young Fu's eagerness to help others and his acts of courage earn him many friends, and finally, more good fortune than he ever thought possible. And I believe this won, what year did this win? It was published in 1932. All right, so it won 1933. Newbery Medal. Okay. And this one, I remember seeing this book when it was first published in the 1980s and always wanting to get it, and I just could not afford it back then. This is a Newbery Medal winner, and it's entitled Lincoln, a Photobiography. And this is by Russell Friedman. I always thought this was such a cool book when I first saw it. And every now and then it would be on my mind because I didn't know it was a Newbery Medal winner. I don't know, for some reason, I found it today. I never find this at anywhere. My guess is that it was pretty popular, so not a lot of people have given it away. They've held on to it because it's wonderful. It's a biography and it's filled with pictures. And let me see. A slave market in Atlanta. The slaves were held in pens until they were auctioned off, and they show you an actual picture of an actual building in the South. And then it doesn't take long. I mean, on another page, you have a 2-page spread of pictures. And I can see how this would fascinate a middle school kid or younger. There's another one. This is, I believe, Confederate General Robert E. Lee. That's what I thought. And what's neat about this era, there are so many actual pictures of real people who lived back then during the 19th century. So that was really neat. All these different pictures of Lincoln. I loved this. I just thought it was the coolest thing. And what always struck me about Lincoln were his eyes. He had deep set eyes, for one. But when you look at the color of his eyes, you can't see it in these pictures, but if you look at this picture, look at the eyes. You know he has blue eyes, really clear blue eyes. And to see that contrast with his dark hair must have been something. And then he was this tall man. My goodness. And I just thought this was always, for years, the neatest book, and I hoped that one day I'd find it, and I found it today. Not at the book sale, but inside the library at their regular little bookstore. So that's what I found. This last book I got after I left the library. I was still in the mood to do a little book searching, and I thought back to my first little library, my one that I always went to, and I thought, oh, that's farther away. I know, let me go to the local bookstore there. We have a place called the Open Book. I don't think they have anywhere but in California, as far as I know. And it sells tons, but the vast majority of the books are used. They have some new, but the vast majority are used books. They're wonderful secondhand books. And I thought, well, let me look there. Let's see if I can find anything in history, which is what I was really searching for. And this is what I found. Another book by Frederick Douglass. And since I'm already reading the original book, the narrative, I decided to look into this one. And this has more of his writings. So it has the original book, which was the narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass. But it also has other titles: The Heroic Slave, a collection of speeches and essays, The Church and Prejudice, We Have Decided to Stay, The Meaning of July, the 4th of July for the Negro. Now that book I also have in my other Frederick Douglass book. Fighting Rebels with Only One Hand, with the Black Man, What the Black Man Wants, An Appeal to Congress for Impartial Suffrage, The Color Line, John Brown, My Escape from Slavery, The Race Problem. So it's a collection of, more of his writings and his speeches and his essays. And I thought, okay, this is a great find. I should pick this up. And this is published by, oh, get this, Borders. This is an old book by Borders. But it's so nice. It's got these wonderful French flaps. It's got deckled edges. It's in excellent condition. I strongly doubt if anyone even read this. It just looks so completely untouched. All I have to do is remove this tiny little tag on the back, which shouldn't be too hard. So that was my day. These were my finds. And I have to say, I'm satisfied. I wished for more. I really did. I thought I'd have more books to bring home. But this is what I ended up coming home with before I decided I'm done. I'm going to go home. And that was that. And I'm also working on a project where I needed to reorganize my library because my guest room is now available. Hold on. I'm having my evening decaf. I really needed that. And it gets really, I'm stuck. My history ones are very easy to do because they're in chronological order, but I wanted to move some other books out of here into the next room. And now I have this empty space and I'm looking at it and thinking, what do I put here? And I don't know why I'm so stuck. I'll do a shelf in one evening and other times half. That's how stuck I am. I'm deciding, maybe you guys have some suggestions. Should I just get all my collections and see what I've got? Or take out all the collections and see what I have left? I moved all the fiction to the other room. My general fiction that I had is all in the other room. Some poetry. I have 3 historical fiction novels and some horror novels. I moved those all to the other room. And I don't know what to do, guys. I'm just, I don't know. Anyway, that's that. Thanks for hanging out with me, everybody. Have an awesome weekend, and I will see you again in just a few days. Bye-bye.